Back to black. New year, new possibilities, all that jazz. Study Monday. Probably no one will show up because I've been on hiatus so long, but that's okay. I figured as much and without notification, but we'll see. We'll see. It'll be good. Hey Amir, thank you. Welcome back. I'm back, back. So the idea here, what I want to do is I want to just study the colors, try to find a good rhythm, think about oh, come on. Kind of the relationship between them. And I also want to play around with selections, I think. And what's it called? Edges. We'll see. Oh, Captain Boss. Good morning. How's it going? Thank you for that sub. That 1 month. No, 17 months. Sorry. So I'm gonna try to just get back into things because I literally haven't touched the Wacom in a long time. I usually stay away from art once a month, once a year. Sorry. So I haven't wanted to touch it. I haven't wanted to feel like I'm back at the grind, right? I wanted to switch off. And what I found is when you switch off and not involve yourself in art all the time, is that you start thinking about art in a different way, which is a lot of times very needed. I mean, a little bit of sketchbook, but mostly what I've done is just nothing. Be with my family. Some of you know a little bit of what happened. I don't really want to get into it at the moment, but long story short, I had to save my daughter's life. And seeing her kind of dying was one of the more horrific things. But she's alive and well at the moment, but yeah, more of that later at some other point. Kind of an artistic fast. Yeah, exactly. Oh shit, I forgot to put on the timer. Let's do 28. I think that's fair. Hey Vidas, what up? Vanamir, yeah. She is fine. I mean, she's here. She's home. She should be in school today, but we haven't put her there yet. But yeah, so what ended up being is that she had a massive epileptic attack in the middle of a restaurant. So she's on medicines now, testing them out. Tons of tests and all that. But yeah, wasn't fun. Vitas, it will most likely do. Most likely, everything will be fine. I mean, we know what it is. We know why it happened. Now it's just a journey of helping her, right? Worst case would be if we didn't know anything. Like now we know. Now we know what it is, why it happened, all that. I mean, we suspected something before it happened, but not to this degree, you know. This was a shock, needless to say. Waiting for dinner and then all suddenly 2 ambulances and CPR. But it's moving in the right direction. Marshall Nimbus, happy 2020. That sweet, sweet 2020. This year will have a lot of surprises, I can feel. The end of 2019, I could live with that. But nevertheless, 2019 was a really cool year. Lots of opportunities, lots of experiences. So all in all, it's good. It's just that end that was. And then to top it all off, you know, because of the stress everyone was feeling of the event, if you may, is that everyone got sick. Everyone got like fever, cough, you know, like infection in the body of all the chaos. Virus. Yeah, I mean, you gotta be positive, right? You gotta look forward, right? You can't bury yourself, right? What good would that do to anyone? No one will. I mean, my daughter won't be better by me panicking, or my daughter won't be better by me feeling bad about it. In order to help her, you know, I need to move forward. It's not easy, but you gotta do it, you know. Hey Miguel, what's up? Fight Milk, what up? Miguel, well, holidays, no. Not holidays was bad. Christmas was pretty cool. Lots of people here, but big picture wise, it's not a fantastic end of the year. But everyone is here, which is the important part. We can move forward. So we're usually back to the topic of why I don't paint once a year for a month. I think it's really important to take a step back from the crazy grind and start thinking about what you're actually doing and why you're doing it. Because I think it's too easy to be caught up in the grind and always have to do your studies, always have to do your daily 8 hours, right? And you're just head down, like head down high pace, right? And it's easy not to see what you're actually doing and why. Most importantly is why you're doing it, right? So this holidays where I didn't touch Photoshop, except I was working a little bit on organizing my art book. That's it. But that was like 3 evenings out of a month. But it gave me a lot of time to think of why I'm doing art and what's the purpose and all these things, right? So instead of sitting and grinding it, you have time to think about why am I grinding it? Why am I sitting here? And what's the purpose of me sitting here? And that's the kind of questions that scares anyone. You know, what's the purpose of this? What's the meaning of life? Or, you know, that's a little bit a bigger question, but is in the same category, right? Why are you you know, why am I sitting and doing art every day? And it's an interesting period when you sit and think about what you're doing and why you're doing it and what's the end goal with it. And a lot of things which I kind of landed on. Hey, Failing Salad, how's it going? One of the things I landed on was my personal projects and why I am doing them. And I came to the conclusion that I draw too much random bullshit. Like these warm-ups, they are great for what they are, right? Get those practice 30 minutes a day at least, but they don't contribute anything to my like overall end goal, right? So, but they are great to do. They're great to study. It's great to study. You know, you up your skill set, which is fundamentally why you're doing studies and sketching and so on, and that you can explore topics, you can explore techniques, which is important to find your own technique, right? So all that's great. But then you have to come to the other conclusion. It's like, all right, so what's all the other hours of the day I have to do art? What's the, you know, like what's the purpose for those hours? What am I going to do with those hours? And I think it's important for everyone to kind of think about that and think about not to only do studies, but to have something that you love and have something that you're interested in pursuing. You know, some want to be a comic book artist and they're working on their own comic book, right? Or if you're a video game artist in the industry and you work on games all day, should you make your own game or you know, your own mod, or you know, what's the, because everyone, like, what's the outcome, right? Everyone should in the end make something, and no one, I mean, even though studies are great to do, studies are fantastic, sketches are great, but there's nothing you can call home about, you know, nothing you can show anyone in terms of, not accomplishment as in like, look mom, I made it, but as in the sensation of making something that's more than just a sketchbook or more than just a collection of studies. Like being able to say, I have made this thing, you know, which I think is a really important feeling to have, especially as a creative. Like you gotta be able to pat yourself on the shoulder and have one thing you can show someone and say, I made this, you know. And it's an easy thing to forget, is an easy thing to overlook. And it doesn't need to be, I think, something massive either, like your own art book, or but just having a goal to work towards, like a selection of images or a small little beautiful illustration, because always like a portfolio piece, right? In the end, when you finish your portfolio piece, you can spam it everywhere and go, hey, look, I just finished this. It should be a lot more accomplished than spamming your latest study and going, hey, look, I did a study. Yeah, all in all, that's great, but it actually doesn't matter, other than showing that you have output and showing that you're improving your game, right? But in terms of accomplishment or finishing something, I think it's not there at all. But it's such a tricky thing as well, you know. When should you pursue something in terms of project versus wasted time? You know, like it won't end up good anyways, or you know, all these things that creep up. Hey, Voodoo Breakfast. What up? Failing salad. That's pretty cool. That's good. I mean, the whole idea about this stream and doing 30 minutes every day is, like I said, it's to practice things. It's to give yourself a scheduled time where you should experiment and not be afraid of failing. I think that's the most important takeaway. Like it goes hand in hand with what I was talking about having a project or doing something that's worthwhile, or having something to show in the end. These warm-ups are not included in that, right? They are the push-ups that you do, and then you know, so that you're strong, so that you can do something worthwhile, right? Rather than, well, I mean, like at let's say at let's continue this weird analogy. Let's say you're at a talent show. You can't go up on stage and do push-ups, and they're like, oh, that's cool. I guess that's good, and that's it, you know. Or you're you're doing push-ups at home so that you're that strong, so that you can do your acrobatic number or whatever, and you've had to practice on your acrobatic number, and you've done it over and over until you've mastered the routine, right? And then you can showcase your skills, your combination of all the things you've learned, right? And sure, you do this talent show with your current skill set of practicing all your muscles and acrobatic moves and so on and so on, and then you have like for next year to practice until the next talent show. And that's in a way like I think we should start considering art is the warm-ups and all these things. They are the push-ups, and then you got to practice your routine, right? And that's your style, that's your genre, that's your topics, or whatever, you know, whatever you like doing, marker art or whatever, you know. And then when you practice that, you go, all right, so what's my big stage show, right? And you practice that one for this year, and then you can showcase it in the end, like, hey, look, I did all this work, and this is what I could get out of in the end. And everyone would go like, oh, that's pretty cool. I never seen that routine before. Or you must have done a lot of push-ups. And then when you finish that, you go, all right, so I know all these things now. What's the next goal? And then you start spinning. And that's how you get better, and that's how you get refined, and that's how you get more experience, is because you build upon a bigger challenge rather than a lot of random small ones that doesn't really take you anywhere. So that's kind of one of the things I've ended up thinking about at the end of the years. That I'm not doing enough, finishing enough projects, even though I have. I should do more, and I should be more consistent in my creativity. So that's kind of what I was thinking about a lot over the holidays. Is I need to start being coherent in my output of what I love. And one of the conclusions was I want to do more designs, more characters. This is a returning thought, by the way, every year. Even though I push character a lot and I push design a lot, I still go, oh, it's not good enough. You know, I need to do more. I need to do more. So that's what I thought about the last year. I had lots of opportunities to do lots of things, but I want more. Hey, Friendship, happy New Year. Dame Deviant, thank you for that sub. Happy New Year to you. Hopefully the rant made sense of kind of like where I'm coming from in my thought process. Avoid breakfast. How they collate their work into an art book. It's one way of seeing it, sure. That's one way of expressing that need to be creative into a project. But it doesn't necessarily mean you have to do that. I mean, let's see, one second. So on my website, I have like IP development, right? Where where I draw everything into one category. I haven't really worked on this section a lot, but anyways. So here I like started creating characters for a competition and made them coherent and gave them all a story. I mean, nevertheless, I could have drawn each of them could be a new character for an unrelated project. But the fact that in the end, I would have a consistent little piece of nugget that I could either make into, you know, animation, I could make it into an art book, I could sell it, I could easily show someone this and go, hey, look, I can create consistent things, right? Or here in this instance, the Damned is a movie pitch, which everything is not online. It's offline, but it's the same thing, right? It's taking all my push-ups and putting them into one focused direction where I go, here's my designs, here's what I've been practicing, here's art direction, you know, all these things, and then project after project. And I have a lot more projects which I haven't put online in that category, but nevertheless, it's something like, for me, it's something I want to show, right? I want people to see that I can be creative. And for you, it might be different. For you, it might be you want to show people how great you are with inks. And that's completely fine. And then you can like craft your path, how to get to something where you can showcase it to someone in the end. You know, like, what is the thing that you can tap on someone's shoulder and say, hey, look, I finished this recently. Do you like it? And you can't show studies or sketches of you trying to figure out anatomy, because then they will look at it and go, nice. I remember I also did anatomy studies. You know, why should I care? And I think it's important to understand, at least reflect onto yourself what you love doing. Let's take Captain Boss here as an example. He loves being creative and doing robots, and he also works as an animator and storyboard artist. He should design robots for maybe his favorite TV show. You know, like, what would it look like if I would draw the robot from Lost in Space, you know, or Halo. What if Halo had robots? And then you start designing, and then you can say, hey, look, I had this idea about showing robots in Halo. All the characters are robots instead. And then you can look at it and go, oh, that's pretty cool. Way better, you know, like consistency-wise and showcase-wise. Much better than just the randomness. Amir, Rock Knight Studios, hey, thank you for that sub, that 8 months strong. Happy 2020. Ghost Ship, what up? Iglesias Miguel, cool, sounds great. Amir, but if you're already doing it and pushing characters, how are you going to push it further? I mean, if you're already pushing characters, maybe you're doing enough, but maybe it becomes a question about direction. Like, I don't expect new artists or budding artists to know about art direction, but you should consider where does these sit in terms of flavor or style, or like one of the talks I did at the art department in Berlin was about art direction and scope and flavor. Like an example I said was, you can make Toy Story, you keep all the models the same, but you texture swap things, and you can make Toy Story look like a horror movie, you know, easily by altering the presentation, the textures and tone and grading, right? So it looks like a scary horror movie, rather than a happy kids movie with bright colors. And by doing that little example, you can shift the tone, you can shift the direction of the project. And you could easily do that with your shapes or your colors or your designs. If you're pushing characters a lot, consider where they sit on the scope of where you want them to go. You know, like, oh, I want this to feel like the next Witcher monsters. And then you can always look at Witcher, the TV show, for example, and go, do the things I've just created sit in the same space? Yes? No. Why is it broken? Oh, it's too colorful, or too round shapes, or it doesn't look scary enough, or textury enough, or blah blah blah. And then you can start adjusting that, and you can design things. If you want to be showcase designs, you need to design, right? That's one of them. The things, like if you're going to do acrobatics, you need to do push-ups, like my analogy there. Reading books won't help you as much if you're going to be an acrobat. While being an engineer most likely will, you know, aid you way more in your job than doing push-ups. So it's a little bit of, you know, like if you're pushing character designs, you need to consider where you're taking them, or this little pie slice of project. What's the purpose? What's the tone? What's the direction? And then you can start designing. Like I always did in the past. I always made project based on like tone. Like I'm gonna redesign Super Metroid. And how do I want to redesign Super Metroid? I come up with an idea of what sounds cool in the Metroid universe, and then I just started redesigning absolutely whatever I thought would fit in that. Like, oh, the main character, obviously, a monster, so on and so forth. And then slowly, you know, it molded itself into a little nugget of things I can show. And the same I did with Zelda. I did my own fan art for Zelda, but I made it into a little bit of nugget of where I upped the tone of coolness in Zelda, right? And then I made a few illustrations that went viral many years ago. Just because that little small selection of illustrations I did for that idea was consistent, and you could present it in a concise way on a random person's website, right? They could go look at this body of art. You could present it, and that's just one way of doing it, right? Not the way of doing it, but nevertheless it's interesting. Avu the Breakfast, Art Deco Halo. That sounds fantastic. One meter, yeah, exactly, because it needs to be consistent. You need to be able to have it say. Or, I mean, you could also have a consistent showcase of design saying, here I designed a robot for Halo. Here I designed a main character for League of Legends. Here I designed a new Toy Story character or whatever. And then you break it down in the design and show it. And the overarching project summary or like label would be design package, right? But it's important to consider that and not just do. I think just doing things can easily, with time, could easily leave you with nothing to show. Nothing consistent, nothing which you can present on a talent show, you know, that kind of mentality of saying, here is this thing, these are all the pieces of it, right? Here. If you're not able to do that, you should consider start something that can help you use all your push-ups that you're doing. And one thing that could change something, which I always do every year, is like, I want to add this into my arsenal. And then let's say I have smudgy edges, like that something is that appeals to me. And so I will make a project of paintings with smudgy edges, and I want to see where that ends up. Then I have maybe 5 paintings with smudgy edges, and I go, oh, that's a cool little nugget of consistency, right? And I can show it to everyone, like, hey, look, here's a shootout in a tunnel, 5 different paintings, with, and people will go, oh, that's really cool, blah 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 blah. But the whole purpose of it was to play with smudgy edges because it appealed to me, right? Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's what separates me from you, and you from me, right? This is your taste, your preferences, which is important to remember. Also, it's like that voice, right? Who are you, and what's your line of of where should you go with your art, right? Right. Hey, Yatsuki, welcome. Fight milk. I don't know. It should be recorded. And they said that I will contact them and ask. Um, I will actually contact them today and ask. If not, I can do it on the stream. Anyways, let's find someone to raid because more Monday study is done. Let's raid Max. And now back to reality. So we're gonna raid Max. Fantastic guy. I'm gonna do the outro. You all know this, and then take you to the raid. Have a good one. Good night. Have a great day. See you tomorrow. Miguel, Discord. Usually. Discord is good. Toodles.